Hey, what's up guys? Sir Emanon here, back with another episode of Road to 1000 DuelingBook rating. And yes, we are back on the YouTube grind after a much needed few days break from the game. I was definitely not testing in the healthiest way. I was putting in way more time than I probably should have spent. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, the link is in the description, of course. But yeah, I did mention on Twitter that I was actually just putting in like 8+ hours a day for about a full week, and that was probably the most intensive testing that I've done in a very long time. And like as I was doing more and more YouTube and have been getting more and more into the game, I kind of like pushed it into overdrive a bit, so much more that I kind of like shoved off my other life obligations, and you know, it really was just not a good way to approach things. So moving forward, I'm gonna not necessarily like dial back on the content, but I'm gonna tone down definitely on the I guess off-camera playtesting, simply because it's just a bit too much for you know, what I'm trying to do here. It's really hard to maintain doing like YouTube as well as actually trying to properly playtest as much as you can, but I'm trying to strike that balance as much as I possibly am able to. So yeah, that's the reason why I took that hiatus there. I apologize for the lack of videos this past couple of days here. It probably hasn't felt like too long maybe to you guys, but for me it's felt like forever since I put up a video, now that I've been doing it a lot more frequently. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the game here. So I'm on Lunalight Orcust this time, and I changed my build a little bit from the build that I posted on the channel a little while ago, just like testing out different ratios as well as you know, different options like in the main extra and side deck. But the core is largely the same, nothing too drastic change, just like some minor shifts. But here I am actually up against my teammate on Evolve Gaming, so shoutouts to Feak here for randomly getting paired up against me on DuelingBook rating. So he's on Altergeist, and he actually said in our group chat that his deck is designed to have a good matchup against my build specifically, or not like my specific build, but like my my deck as in Lunalight Orcust. So yeah, so we actually, this is a very long game or long match, so strap in and get ready for some pretty in-depth commentary, because I have quite a lot to say here as far as things that I could have done better, or things that I maybe, you know, could have done or like did well but maybe were out of my control and things like that. So yeah, so starting off, he goes first here and he opens Melisleek into Multi-Faker. Pretty standard, I would say. So he only has one trap, which is the Protocol, but he has Protocol plus Multi-Faker plus Ash, and if I don't have Call by the Grave in my hand, like say after a danger hit, then you know, that's gonna be not the greatest for me. So we have a couple lines of play. We could do Foolish here, and we could send like Martin, we could send Harp, we could send like Zephyros, a lot of things I could send. We could opt to like go for Emerald Bird first, just to see like what I rip off the top. I decided to go and send Yellow Martin. I think maybe this was actually already a mistake. So the line of play that I was thinking was, or I can like grab Serenade Dance, Emerald can like pitch Serenade, draw a card, and then like continue to extend, which isn't like bad, but because I have this danger in hand, like I already have a good like setup as far as, you know, trying to get bodies on the field and possibly already get that Serenade Dance out of my hand with the danger, or if not, I could just like make a Phoenix and like get rid of it anyway, like get rid of the Serenade if I want to do it that way. But the other option I could do is just like send Harp instead of Martin here, which would allow me to just access the Orcust lineup. Granted, I would have telegraphed it a lot earlier, so I'm not sure if that was the best play, but yeah, it kind of just ultimately depends. Like in hindsight, I think maybe I would have tried to go for a Harp just to like utilize the Lunalight cards to their fullest potential, because like I don't have Tiger in my hand right now, so that's definitely also kind of an issue that I have to think about here. But yeah, we go ahead and go for this route with Serenade Dance. So next play is just normal summon the Emerald Bird and you know, draw off its effect by pitching a Serenade Dance, which is fine. So we draw an Armageddon Knight, which obviously is not good in this case because we already committed our normal summon, and we have a lot of very dead cards in our hand at this point. So like it's kind of just up to the snake to really bail us out, which, you know, definitely is not ideal. Like if we had an Orcust card in here instead, like I could have like maybe went Emerald, pitch, you know, Kaleido Chick and try to draw a different card. Like obviously this card here is random, like it's variance, so like I'm not gonna chalk it too much up to this, but as far as like the resources that I had access to, like maybe it was correct to just go Harp and like forsake the Lunalight plays, considering, you know, I just didn't have Tiger. Like if I rip Tiger off the top, it doesn't really matter as much if I have Serenade Dance in here, right? Like the only difference it would make is like if I had stuff I wanted to get in graveyard, like a Zephyrus or something. So not having anything that I could get in value makes a Serenade Dance play a little bit like less high impact. So I think right off the bat, this Foolish was a mistake, at least, like, you know, sending Harp. So what I maybe could have done was like set the Foolish instead, and then like maybe go for Emerald Bird into like a danger or do something like that. But yeah, but this is the line of play I chose to do. So it's still like not the end of the world, because we have the snake. However, if the snake hits itself, then we're really in a bad position, like as far as, you know, what we know to be at least a faker and like probably a life trap. So he goes ahead and he hits the Armageddon Knight, which is like fine at this point because it's, you know, again, it's just a dead card. We rip into a Nessie, so at this point I'm gonna try and fish for more cards, just to see what resources I can get access to. And after rolling a bunch of 5s, I think maybe saw, yeah, he hits the Call by the Grave, which definitely sucks given that he has Ash in his hand. So yeah, if like he hit the Babel or something, then that would have been nice. But that's like the one issue with Call by the Grave in this deck, is like with dangers, it's like it can be a bit of a conflict. So it's very much a catch-22, because a lot of people are starting to main cards like DD Crow and like Ghost Spell specifically for, you know, Orcust, Salamangre, and this deck. Like this deck is picking back up in popularity, so because of this, like it's very, very weird, because if like you open up with something like Tenki or a Perfume, like, you know, that you need to use its grave effect to search, or like a Foolish Goods into a Perfume or something, that's like 9 potential cards where drawing it with Call by the Grave ends up being good if like they use Ash or like maybe DD Crow or Ghost Spell earlier or something like that. But at the same time, you're running like 8 dangers, so it's like you got to pick your poison as far as, you know, if we're running Call by the Grave is worth it as far as, you know, making sure that you can, making sure that like you get value out of like the plays that you have available to you, because those can differ in a wide variety of instances. And like obviously the danger hits are random, but, you know, like you can only chalk so much up to randomness is what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, we go for a Tenki, and I think actually if he ashed that would have been pretty bad for me. But yeah, so here I go and I scale my Tiger, and then he goes Phillips Protocol, and then he goes Resolution, Multi-Faker, and he specials out Silk. So yeah, I go Tiger to special Martin. I think maybe what I should have done here was I should have probably just gone into the battle phase. I should have gone like Snake Attack, Linkuriboh, or sorry, like Emerald Bird Attack, Linkuriboh, and then like Snake Attack, like Faker, which would have like forced to bounce. That would have like gotten a lot of issues out of the way. So I think that was my biggest misplay this entire match. Was just, you know, well actually it was my second biggest misplay. I make a pretty big misplay in game 3. Not like looking back on this, but yeah. So as far as like the optimal line of play, like I think this, like going into battle phase would have been better. My mindset was like, oh, now that I have a Tiger, like I'm chilling, you know, I able to like just go and try an OTK, but you know, not really realizing he has the Ash. Like I maybe could have played around like Protocol, like Silk pretty well, but he also has Conquery too, so that like I think maybe I do try and go battle phase now think about it, but he has Conquery, which definitely sucks. So yeah, I forgot that, like I think I actually did attack into Conquery now that I remember this game a little bit more, so ignore what I said. I go into Curious here. Yeah, so maybe like I'm trying to think, because like it still would have been maybe okay had I like triggered Conquery. So like one attack would have eaten a Conquery, one attack would have eaten a Linkuriboh, and I still would have had a third monster to like go and, you know, attack into Faker. So like either he would have had to, you know, use his like silk earlier, or like he would hold the silk, which I guess at the same time, yeah, I would have had to have a fourth monster, because like me attacking into Faker doesn't really, you know, it doesn't force silk necessarily. Like he would ideally want this Faker back in his hand, but like so yeah, like if I had a fourth monster that could beat over you know, beat over silk, then that probably would have been fine. So lots of things to consider. Like, yeah, I would have had to just attack the silk. What am I talking about? So yeah, I would have had to attack, like, yeah, I don't know why I'm so fixated on attacking Faker. So like what I should have done was, like, with the snake and the Nessie on board, it probably should have just been Emerald Bird attack Linkuriboh, force that, snake attack Faker, force the Conquery, and then Nessie attack the silk to force the silk. And that probably would have been a fine play. It would have, like, either put Emerald Bird back in my hand, or, which is like okay in this scenario because of the fact that I have like a Serenade Dance still, so like I can get stuff out of my hand, which would actually trigger Emerald Bird too, so that's like not too bad either. So yeah, a lot of things I could have done differently here. So he actually doesn't choose to Ash the Curious here, which is pretty interesting. Luckily, I do actually hit the wand, so it's like not too bad for me, but he could just save the Ash for the harp, which I believe he ends up doing later on anyways. But yeah, so here I'm like thinking a lot here. So yeah, I use Martin Engrave, and he ends up protocoling it. So like at this point I'm thinking I just need to force the silk and I'm good. So I think this is where I go battle phase. Yeah, so I use a Kuriboh, or he uses Kuriboh, and then here's a Conquery, which is like, oh man, shoot, that's really bad. So I'm like, I try to like go for the harp here, and then that gets ashed. So I think what I should have done, this was like actually kind of not a great play. I should have just used a Serenade to like force the silk with summoning, what's it called? Summoning Nyarla, because it still has silk. Like he didn't actually have to use silk this entire time here. So I guess it wouldn't have stopped the Ash. But yeah, there is definitely a different way I could have sequenced this. I still think going into battle phase with 3 monsters was probably the best idea. Because like Nessie being able to just attack over this is probably the best way to force it, even through Conquery. So yeah, not the most ideal set of plays here. Yeah, so I activate Babel. He goes ahead. He doesn't respond to it, but like on Summon of Galatea, he's going to use Silk. Chain Gala, even though it's not going to get value, but it at least deck thins a little bit. And at this point, I'm kind of stuck. As long as like he doesn't have a play, I'm okay. But he has quite a bit of follow up here. So yeah, he draws Marionette for turn, and he sets a Manifestation. So I actually played I play Altergeist a fair amount too, so I can kind of speak to both decks. So I believe he goes Marionette target itself and multi-faker. I think what I would have done was use Marionette to target the Protocol and the Faker. That way, like he could have had Marionette on board still. Like Faker would summon out a Meliseek, I think, which is I think what he does here anyway. But he could like go into Hextia with like a Silk and like a Protocol, or sorry, Silk and a Meliseek or something. Get a search off Meliseek. Silk gets back the Protocol, and he basically just gets so much advantage. Like if he sticks a Hextia, that's really bad for me because you know, Hextia against like my Tiger play setup is probably just gonna end the game right there. So he bounces my Curious, and he just goes in battle phase and attacks. He tries, like he declared Kuriboh, but he used Faker, so yeah, he doesn't choose to go Hextia and just like shotgun Manifest either. I think he should just at least made Hextia and like try to move forward from there. But he like gives me a small window. So yeah, I Tiger Summon Emerald, and here I'm debating if I want to use Martin to bounce the Emerald or bounce the Tiger. I end up just like saying Tiger, but yeah, let's not go with the Protocol. So here's where I go into the Nyarla into Azathoth line, which I kind of realized later. So this forces, in my mind, this is gonna force the Silk. So he's gonna use everything now, just so that he doesn't like, you know, lose out later on. So yeah, he used the Silk to bounce the Niarla. I have Tiger again, and I have a normal summon still. So like I'm gonna try and, you know, get as far as I can. He doesn't have 4 Strix. He doesn't negate this. So like my entire idea is to try and like use a Serenade and Harp that are in my graveyard to like make a follow-up play. He doesn't negate this, so I use the Serenade Dance to discard the Zephyros. And then I believe I go into a Phoenix after this, or Darumidal. You know, I go Darumidal. Yeah, and then I force the Protocol, obviously. Mostly gets another search for Marionetter. I use Zephyros to bounce a Tenki here, which is pretty cool because I used Tenki last turn. So it allows me to get a second Tiger, which, you know, gets a little bit more value as far as like him having to clear more of my stuff. So here I'm like, unless he has another Ash, I'm like, okay. It's not a great spot, but like it's better than I was previously. So yeah, here like the goal is just to try and clear as much of the board as I possibly can. So yeah, I go ahead and summon the other Dingirsu, or other Galatea with a symbol, and then I overlay Dingirsu. I have to pretty much send Protocol here, which kind of sucks. Like I didn't want to, but I knew I kind of had to. So yeah, I go ahead, attack the Silk, and I attack the Marionetter. Yeah, just so that he can't like Marionetter target like the Multi-Faker Engraver or anything like that. So he draws a Super Poly for turn. Yeah, I forgot this happened. So I would have been like totally fine. Like I would have just stopped his normal summon, like either his Melisleek or his Marionetter play. And like I probably would have won this game had he not ripped Super Poly, but he's main decking it and he got it off the top. So yeah, that definitely was a big rip. But I don't blame my loss upon that like entirely. I still think I could have won this game had I played out my first turn in such a way where I could force Silk earlier, even through Conqueri. Like I should also read that like if Geist only sets 1, they're brick dumb monsters. So, like one of them could be Conqueri. Like obviously hand traps come to mind and like Spirit Geist monsters, but Conqueri should definitely be a consideration that honestly at that time I totally like didn't factor into. So I think that if I play that turn 1 out differently, it would have made a bigger difference than like him drawing Super Poly. Obviously him drawing Super Poly was really godly, but you know, not much I can do about that. So I'm trying to focus on the things that I can control, and as far as that's concerned, definitely was able to control my decision with the forcing of Silk there. So we're just going along here. I draw a Jackal for turn, which isn't bad. I try and force out the Silk with the Niarla into Azathoth again. So like maybe what I could have done was summon a Moth off the Jackalope instead of the Nessie, which I could have maybe used Moth to go into Niarla. My line of thinking was like I tried to go for a Curious play again, but yeah, it's like not the greatest. He negates my Martin off the Protocol. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like getting a little bit tongue tied here. But yeah, now my point is just to not die. Like that's kind of the issue I have. But yeah, he obviously gets another Faker trigger. So he has Melisleek, and that's pretty much game there. I can't really stop it. So yeah, we're moving on to game 2, and this is kind of the problem that I have with like Lunalight Orcust a little bit, is that I actually almost lose this game. Spoiler alert, I don't lose this one, but I almost lose it. So we open up, you know, there's only one line of play we can do in that hand, but it's still a good enough hand. Here I'm considering how I want to do my Azathoth line. So yeah, I decide that I don't need to play around Ash because I already drew the Tiger off the Emerald Bird. Like there's certain scenarios where like you go Niarla to like discard the monster instead. That way you can like perfume after you go Azathoth to play around Ash that way. But this line of play was okay because I felt like even if he had Ash, like I could deal with it. No, not really too big of an issue. So I discard the Serenade Dance off the Nyarla first effect, and then I use Martin, or summon Martin off of the Emerald Bird. That way, like, I can get an additional monster on the field. This is kind of the not so great play with the Barricade Borg blocker, but you know, you're taking what you can get. So yeah, we use Martin here, and then we go into Force Strix. Force Strix searches Zephyros, and then we pitch a Zephyros off the Serenade Dance. Like, that's like the basic gist of the play. Is like you get like you can use like Nyarla to trigger Martin to search for Serenade, and then like you get Serenade engraved with Barricade Borg blocker, and then like you use Barricade to like summon a Force Strix. It's like you require like an extender, like another Lunalight extender, basically. In this case, it was Perfume. So yeah, we have Curious here to send our Orcust cards. We obviously don't mill anything good because we're not good enough to. In this build, I was testing without Eradicator because I was breaking on it a little bit in testing prior, but this is one of those cases where I definitely have to put it back in. Like it's just too good not to. So yeah, definitely would have Eradicated had I left it in my deck, but I was a fool and didn't. So I just went Tornado instead with the Orcust combo. And yeah, it's not a great play, but it gets the job done. I really am just hesitant about this deck going first. Like, there's a lot of reservations I have with it, but it's like okay. Yeah. So yeah, he goes ahead and uses Extravagance. I decide not to Crescendo this one. I feel like playing against this deck, I know that the normal summon is really important. Like, having your Meliseek or your Marionette Resolve is like really a big deal. Plus, like, he could be siding evenly matched or whatever. Obviously, like, if he draws like a Super Poly, I'm just screwed. But you know, it's like either Super Poly or evenly, and you know, you just gotta take the 50-50. I figured that, like, even with evenly being factored into the equation, like, it's still better to just hold the Crescendo for the Meliseek. In this case, so like Marionette, even if that was like a hypothetical, just because like that play is so required to go through for that, like for the deck to really, you know, to really do what it has to do. So he goes Pankratops into a Meliseek. So yeah, he uses Meliseek's effect, and I go ahead and just I banish it off Crescendo. He attacks into Tornado. It's fine because I have Dengirsu. So he sets 5. I use Tornado. Definitely, like, I would consider just not die rolling and like hitting anything they put across from Tiger, just in case it's impermanence. Because in this case he actually has double impermanence, and he puts them both across from Tigers. So he actually almost outs my setup. So I Tornado another one, and I hit what I believe is a Protocol. We'll find out later. But he imperms it, which shuts off my Tiger in the right column, which definitely sucks. So like I'm gonna have to work with that. So I go into a Phoenix. I send the Dengirsu because, like, even if he Pankratopses me, like, there's nothing on the board where it's like I need to, you know, desperately save right now. So like I'm not in any big danger. It's not like I committed a Borosword quite yet, so it's all right. So I target the Protocol off of the Phoenix, and then he shovels it back off the Spoofing, so I gets a Multi-Faker back. So now I have to deal with a Multi-Faker and a set back row, or sorry, a Silk and a set back row. So here he lets this go through, and I believe the last card he has is a Crackdown. I think if he cracked down this, it would have been pretty good for him, because I don't really have too many other ways to like really stop him. Like, I do have Symbol Revive Dengirsu, but like my hope is I can like Dengirsu attach just to like be able to, you know, totally nullify his Pankratops. But yeah, he actually he chains the Crackdown to my Darumidal instead of just doing it on the summon, which allows me to clear my Tiger that was already under Imperm anyway, so I get a summon off of it. And you know, Crackdown, obviously it'll let my Darumidal come back to me, so that's fine with me. I'm gonna go ahead and make a Tiger King. So this is a card that I cut the Griffin for. I cut a Griffin with the Eradicator to test this card, and it's pretty good. It's it kind of just depends on how the meta's shaping up. Like Thunder is obviously prevalent, and it's nice to have a card like this against them. It's still a testing phase, I feel. So, but yeah, he ends up scooping up because I still have like an Orcust play, so not too big of a deal right there. So yeah, this game's been this match has been like over an hour, and this commentary is already like over 25 minutes. But yeah, so here we go into game 3, and he has Inspector Border, a Solemn Judgment, and a Personal Spoofing. So yeah, rough. So I make a very weird play here. So like I summon a Martin off of the Serenade, which is fine. I pitch Harp, which is also fine. I feel like I should have actually just normal this Harp, because like I don't know what my idea was. Like I was going to normal summon Harp next turn anyway, but I don't know why I decided to wait a turn. Like I guess the idea was I could stall until I could find another, like until I could resolve the second Foolish Goods to like get a Collider Chick. But, like I was already like not resolving Chick because like, or like not normal summoning because I'd have to normal summon the Harp instead. Like obviously this walls up against Border nicely here, but yeah, I don't think like playing the slow game is a good idea against Geist. Yeah, usually attacks. Obviously Melistic's, you know, ability to attack is continuous. So yeah, I go ahead and search a Collider Chick. But obviously now like I have too many normal summons for what I'm trying to accomplish. So I summon a Galatea, and he judgments that immediately, which sucks a lot. So at that point I'm like, oh man, like I'm gonna slowly, you know, bleed out this game. So he doesn't summon the Marionetter because he asked me end of battle phase there because he thinks like maybe I have evenly. But yeah, like he's just, you know, getting it for consistent safe damage. So yeah, definitely this was the play that was definitely bad here. I believe he had Impermanence and a Super Poly. So I believe, let's think. I think if I could have Scaled Tiger, or if I had Scaled Tiger and like use Martin to like make just a bigger rank 4, like I could have made like a Tiger King. Like even though he had Impermanence and negated it, I could just go battle phase attack and then, you know, do all my other stuff. Granted that would make his Faker alive, but like he would have had to like expend his Impermanence earlier if he wanted to do it that way. If not, like he probably would have let the Impermanence just like not bother with the Impermanence, like let the Inspector Border get negated, and then, you know, go ahead and use Spoofing to search Faker and Impairment at later points. So like maybe yeah, that there's a world in which case that happened, and you kind of get to like see what I'm forecasting like a turn later. But with this play here, I'm kind of just locking myself. I'm letting myself get locked out with Border, which doesn't make any sense at all. I should use Tiger to just try to get back into the game at an earlier point. So huge mistake there. And that is the biggest mistake that I make the entire match for sure. Because now he just draws another Judgment, and he gets to just Judgment, you know, my other next big push. So definitely a mistake. And I don't know why I do this in main phase too. Like I do it a turn late and I do it a phase late as well. Or like a main phase late. So he Judgments my Nyarla. Like I could have done that way prior. I don't know why I went for Nyarla either, by the way. But yeah, so like, I'm getting dangerously close to being low on life points. Sorry, I used Tiger to bring back the Collider Chick finally in main phase 1, and I finally do the Tiger King. So like, even though he has the Impermanence, he opts to let it go because we talked about it later. It's because again it turns his Faker online again, so like he could just Spoofing at any point. And now that he has like Border life traps, he could just, you know, do that at his leisure. I can't use the first effect obviously because Border counts like separate effects, not like monsters. Like not individual monster names. It counts like each individual effect. So yeah, he snipes both my dangers, which again I don't fault for the loss. It's like you take the variance with you know, some inherent aspects with the deck, but like the things you can control are the things you should be fixated on. So yeah, I go for a decent push because I have a Zephyrs Grave and I have 2 Harps. So I go ahead and summon Darumidal just to see like what he has. And then I like try and use Zephyros, but I forgot him on 300, so I'm like, oh crap, can I take that back? Because I'm glad I'm against my teammate here, because like I just was so fixated on trying to out the board. And here I like used Daruma to like pop spoofing, and like he doesn't chain it, so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So that should have telegraphed to me that the other card was definitely a spoofing. Like, because why would he just not do it, you know? So he imperms me, and then he chain spoofing, because like that's the point where he has to. So he goes Faker, and he has Faker into a Silkidus. So at this point, I'm like thinking if I want to go battle, which I end up doing. So yeah, Daruma's on 16, so he can beat over the Silk. Vouts is my Tornado. I go Phoenix to pop the last set, which he protected with Imperm, which was like my thought, but it was Super Poly, so that's good because I'm about to go into Orcust play. It definitely sucks that I wasn't able to use Zephyros at any point. I think had I gotten use out of Zephyros, like this is what I mean by like it was bad that I waited that long, right? Like it just didn't make any sense. So yeah. Plus, like this whole time we know he has Meliseek in hand. Like he searched it earlier, so yeah. And then here I like make a slip up as well because I forgot the first Galatea got Judgmented. So like here I'm like trying to link into a second one. I'm like, oh crap, you know, I can't really do that. So that definitely sucks. I also cited out Babel going second, which you know hurt a bit because like I could have just like linked off after you know using Dingirsu to and like here I'm like just trying to think through plays, but yeah, like here I'm gonna summon Dingirsu to out the personal spoofing, which I think is fine. But like what I could have done after the Dingirsu descent is like go into Barricade, and then like had I kept in the Babel, I could have like symbol target Dingirsu, and then like Dingirsu, you know, send you know. But obviously both Meliseek and Inspector Border could have attacked either directly in Meliseek's case or over the Barricade for 1,000 damage, which would have been game anyway. So I think at that point I was already screwed. Like the point at which I decided, or I not decided, but I didn't decide to go for the big Tiger King push, like that definitely cost me because like he had time to draw into another Solemn Judgment. So big mistakes on my end. Not, you know, not the greatest play that I've ever done, but you know, it was definitely a good learning experience, and I figured out a lot of things. Then I could draw Super Poly anyway, so you know, when you're nice, you're nice. But yeah, we do lose this game, and this was one of the games where, like, if you guys were watching my stream, I was losing a lot in a row. But I really wanted to highlight this one in particular, because I feel like there's a lot to unpack in this series of games here, where like, you know, you have to really think about what, you know, resources you're trying to put into the play, and like how you can force your opponent's cards. Because like when you have like inherently more tempo, like playing a deck like this, you need to just use that to your advantage, and you know, force out your opponent's things at the right time. Like you don't have to OTK your opponent if you can clear their board and like recover faster than they can. So that definitely was a mistake. It was a mistake siding out Eradicator for sure, or not siding it out, but like just taking it out entirely. Like maybe siding it's okay, but yeah, it was a mistake. You know, not forcing out the Silk correctly in game 1. It was a mistake to not go into Tiger King earlier in game 3. Those are the two biggest mistakes. There are definitely other minor mistakes that I made all throughout, which I pointed out in this commentary. But yeah, this is a bit of a longer sort of review. It was more of me to kind of just reflect and learn from the mistakes that I made. And it wasn't this game in particular that like I took my break after, but it was like a series of games where I played really badly. It got progressively worse, and I just did not play well at all that entire day. So I had to stop, and like I realized I was just playing way too much and like valuing these games too highly. It's just practice on DuelingBook, and that's all that really matters. Is like where I learned from my mistakes and stuff. It's not like, you know, it's not that this is like a YCS and I'm trying to, you know, win every single round and stuff. But yeah, this is better to lose now than lose later is what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comment section down below. Feel free to subscribe for more informative and in-depth competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on Discord, Twitter, or Twitch. All the links are in the description as always. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will catch you in the next video. See you guys.